Hi there. Welcome to Nicole's Creative Adventures. This is a podcast about knitting, spinning, sewing, quilting, and other things crafty. This is episode 18, and my name is Nicole, and I'm your hostess. Let's see what's been going on. If this is your first time checking out my podcast, well, thanks for checking it out. I really appreciate it. It's a good time to check it out because I'm doing a giveaway for new subscribers. And if you're returning watcher, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are doing well. I've had a delay again. It's summer schedule. Things are crazy. I've also had computer issues. I had blind issues. Literally, one of my blinds decided to stop working, and so I had really bad lighting and wasn't really able to podcast when I had a small opportunity. So, hey, better late than never. A lot of things to catch up on, but excuse me. Yeah, things are good, but I'm just really glad you're checking this out. And if you have any questions or you want to chat about anything, just feel free to contact me. Here are the ways that you can follow me on Instagram or on Ravelry. Or I also have a blog that is mostly show notes, but you guys can just reach out to me on YouTube as well. Here you go. And then also the giveaway. The giveaway is when I reach 150 subscribers, I'm going to give away a skein of hedgehog fibers. And it's a coveted yarn. It's difficult to join their sock clubs or any of the yarn clubs, for the matter of fact, and sometimes difficult to get a hold of. And I'm also giving away actually a sock club yarn, so these are even more difficult. It's not part of their standard yarn that you would have access to online or in a local shop. So, anyways, here are the details. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page and you want to join the contest, I'd really appreciate it and love it if you join as a subscriber. I'm totally okay with being a slow growing podcast. One, I don't podcast weekly like a lot of people, and I know I'm an acquired taste. And also, I don't sell products or yard, and so for me, it's more of just showing my journey and sharing what I'm doing creatively um, in the crafty world. And I don't have too many friends that live nearby that actually are into what I'm into as much. That we don't really get together. Let's just throw this in now. Yeah, I've had a neighbor for, I think they've lived there for like 4 to 5 years now. And although we've been friendly, um, neighborly friendly, we've never been too friendly. That to the point where, okay, we decided to invite them, like, let's invite Tim and Jessica over and their little guy for one of our barbecues. And yeah, like literally within seconds of her walking in the door, which is like right here, it's right there on the other side of the wall, of course. And she looked into this room, and like right over here is a bunch of yarn and fabric. And she just turned around and looked at me and she goes, how did we not hang out and get to know each other till now? Like, she's a knitter. And so we hit it off great. I actually didn't get to see her much because of her work schedule and mine, but I'd see her husband around a lot more and say hi. So anyways, we've been knitting every other Friday. We have a little knit time, and really enjoying that. She's awesome. So yay, I have a friend knitter that we can get together, and we're like really close. Like literally, I'm looking at their house right now. It's like right there. It's across the street. So kind of like we were like, how many years could we have been knitting together? We didn't even know. But hey, better late than never. So anyways, back to the giveaway. Subscribe. Here's the rules. Okay, subscribe to the YouTube podcast. Then, and I'm assuming if you're wanting the skein of hedgehog fibers, you're a knitter. So I'm building my knitter audience on this giveaway. If you are not a knitter but you're interested in knitting, you can also join along. The second rule is to join my Ravelry group for this podcast, which is Nicole's Creative Adventures podcast. And there'll be links of this in the show notes and also directly on the YouTube page. Join that group. Then number 3 is to introduce yourself in the introductions thread so I just can get to know who you are. Say hi. And then the last thing is to go into the 150 subscriber giveaway thread and just say, hey, completed all the tasks, and then I just love to hear what you would do with the yarn. So now, yarn revealing for those of you that are wondering, what is the yarn? So this is the Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn, and it's 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, and it's hand dyed using water fast and light fast dyes, and it's machine washable, and it's 100 grams. They don't put yardage on here, but if I remember correctly, it's between 400 and 425 yards. But this is the colorway is called Float. So here is the skein. Let me get my hat out of the way because usually that helps. So super fun, summery kind of type of yarn. Let me get a close up. Let me get my face out of the way. It doesn't want to see. It wants to see me. Yeah, and the sun is got clouds coming all over my house, so. But anyways, interesting skein of yarn. I think it's really cool. It's one of my favorites, and I wanted to give away one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm not doing the best job. But look, see like how it's like lighter version of what's over here. Really cool. So this is Float, and I also put up a good, pretty decent photo I took. It's going to go away to one of those people who do the listed, gosh, sorry, I'm tired, did the listed requirements, and you can also find that in the thread in the Ravelry group in case you're like, did I do all the rules are all in that subscriber giveaway thread. So yes, and I do want to say that if you already subscribe to my YouTube page, you still qualify. So you just check that one's done and move along. And and if you've already introduced yourself in my podcast, check, that's already done. So you just move along to the last steps. But yep. So, and pretty much once I reach the 150, I'll close it right away. So don't wait if you want the skein. So looking forward to giving that sucker away. Moving along, I want to move into introductions. So we've had some new people join the podcast group in Ravelry. And so the first one is Asteride, I believe. She's from Italy, and she's lived in lots of really cool places. So I was kind of like really intrigued. So she's lived in Rome. She's from Italy. She's lived in New York. She's lived in Barcelona. Wow. And she currently lives in Lisbon, Portugal. So she's seen tons of different cultures. And she started knitting when she was 6 years old. Wow, that's pretty cool. And her grandmother taught her. So I'm sure she has some great memories from that. And I think she also mentioned that in Barcelona, the knitters there are big on Ravelry, and they spend a lot of time on that site, which I thought was really cool. And that's part of how they keep their community. And Ravelry is a really cool site. If you're a new knitter or you're thinking about knitting and you're just kind of like, what's out there for knitters, or even crochet, don't want to exclude that one. Definitely a yarn and fiber craft. Check it out. It's Ravelry.com, and you'll see down on the notes that there'll be a link to my podcast page, what's going to take you to Ravelry. And yeah, it's cool. So what it has is gazillion patterns for you to knit up or crochet, anything to your heart's content. Lots of them are free. And then they also had paper patterns on there by top designers, and even people who just like you and I that might just start knitting or been knitting for a little while or crocheting and decided to write their own pattern, and then you can host it on there. Fiber and yarn of everything you can imagine. So if you're want to look at different types of yarns, If you're curious, you have a pattern, but you're not sure what yarns would be good for it, you can search like every fiber or fiber related yarn or whatever. Even fiber now, they've allowed for spinners spinners too. But I'm assuming if you're a spinner, you probably knit or crochet. But now they've given you a chance to create your stash online, not just for all the yarn that you currently have, but also the fiber. What else is on there? Groups, right? You can community building groups and relationship building groups. You can follow friends and see what they're working on and their patterns, and you can message people in the Ravelry community. You can purchase yarn that people have stashed that they have for sale. So if, let's say, you're working on a project and you're like, dang it, I need one more skein of this yarn in this colorway, maybe even in this dye lot, you can search to see if anybody has it stashed and is willing to sell it, because there's a little button where you say for sale, and you might be able to finish your project without worrying about running out of yarn or the color line not matching. So there's a lot of other things that Ravelry provides, but it's pretty cool. Ooh, I see my knitting friend is just taking her little guy out on a walk. It's nap time, so they usually take him for a walk when it's nap time. I say a lot. I am so sorry for those of you guys that watch my podcast and you're like, if she would just only not say every 2 seconds, I might like the podcast more. So I'm aware of it. No one's told me. Everybody's being very gracious. I have to come up with a new word. I really do. Is just as annoying as So, yeah, but that leads into something. Okay. Anyways, let's move on with my podcast. Subscriber giveaway available. Ravelry, amazing. And let's do my introductions. Number 2. Trilynda. I'd have to say she's my twin, because she was just telling me that she loves to knit shawls and socks. And I'd have to say those are my 2 favorite clothing / accessory items that I like. In general, the 2 major things that I knit, if you've been watching my podcast, you know I like to knit socks. They're my no-brainer and thing, and they knit up fast, and then I wear them, or I can gift them, right? And then the other thing I like to knit next is shawls, because I think they're beautiful. There's so much creativity, and they do such an amazing job of showing off yarn, and they kind of help accessorize. Then the other thing is she loves fingering weight yarn, which I'd have to say, if I was to choose what's my favorite yarn weight, or what do I have the most of in my stash, by far it's fingering weight, and that's hers as well. So welcome, Trilynda, and welcome, Asteroid. I appreciate you joining my group, and they also were part of the giveaway, so they're rocking it. So a few people have asked in the past, like, hey, do you want to show any of your earlier knitted items? And like, if you looked at my first knitted items, I say absolutely not. Well, one, they don't exist anymore because they got used or fell apart or who knows what. I don't even know. Oh, I gifted. I feel bad now. Like, I've grown as a knitter. I gave my mom, I think it was like a blue clay scarf. Actually, the yarn was really pretty. But I don't even know if she ever used it or wore it, because it was a little much, So my first scarf was just literally a stockinette. No, it was garter. No, stockinette. Stitched scarf. Very boring. And then I knit a couple other things. Don't know where they're at. But that was the first year I knit. And then the following winter, and I'm trying to think how many years ago that I first start knitting. I was a quilter before a knitter. So I probably say I've been knitting for like 8 years, but not knitting for 8 years. I started knitting maybe 8 years ago, maybe 7. It's a mystery to me. I can't remember exactly. I knew who I learned to knit with, my friend Jen, who has moved away, and we both wanted to learn to knit, and so we did together. And I think we learned English, and I knit continental. I'm a thrower, and I was having issues with my hands, so I learned the continental version. I love it. I think it's continental. Why do I think I'm wrong? Half the time I'm thinking I just said it wrong, but then sometimes I'm right. So, anyways, I knit maybe a beanie and a scarf the first year I learned to knit. That's it for the whole year. To me, knitting was only like a winter thing. I don't know why. Maybe because most of the things that you wear are warm and cozy, and you want to knit mittens and hats and scarves. And I live in California. And if you haven't watched the podcast before, I live in the Bay Area of California, and it's warm most of the time. And yeah, so you don't need all kinds of cozy knitwear, although I love cozy knitwear. So I will make room for it where I can. I think by year 2, I knit my first pair of socks out of, I believe it was DK weight, wasn't worsted. They were not very comfortable, but hey, you know what? I knit a pair of socks. I followed a pattern. I found an old knit yarn shop that we used to have in town, which I kind of miss. And then maybe another beanie. I think I made a beanie for Chris, and then my husband, and then I tried to get another one out of the skein, and even the boys couldn't wear it, and they were in junior high. Their heads were smaller, obviously. So it was more one of like maybe, what's that called for if you're Jewish? Can't remember what it's called. It was just it wasn't that small. But I was like, dang it, maybe for a little baby. It didn't, I don't know whatever happened to it. But anyways, the following year, year 3, I bought, to get myself in the knitting mood because I was mostly quilting. I bought a book on different stitch patterns. So basically, I should have pulled it out. I just don't know where it's at. All different kinds of stitch patterns so that you can create your own patterns. And actually, since looking at my these old scarves, I'm like, why don't I do that anymore? Why don't I just create my own scarf or cowl? Or so a goal, maybe not this year, but next year, is to create my own scarf pattern or cowl pattern, because I've done it before. So now, granted, I didn't understand the concept with this one that when you knit stockinette, it curls in on itself if you don't put some garter stitches on the rib, on the edges. So this obviously likes to fold up on itself, as you see. I don't remember the yarn. I know that I had put some mohair. So I took 2 yarns, and one of them is mohair, so that it gave like a really soft halo look, which it does. But the stitch pattern is just where I just started to do this cute leaf pattern, right? But the only problem is it starts to roll up on itself like a little burrito. But this is my first attempt on creating my own little scarfie. It's very soft, but you can't, when you put it on, it doesn't do a good job of showing off what you did. So that was the first scarf that I attempted to do my own design. Then after that, and still not quite, the other thing is I don't think I ever block these things. I don't know if I knew what blocking was or I was so afraid of blocking. This one no, I didn't. I didn't get that it was curling and that I could actually prevent it. But I wanted to learn cables. So I literally created this design myself. Actually, I look at this and I'm like, if I had just done a good job on the outside, this would be a really cool pattern. I even bought a second book that talked about finishing edges. So this was just for edging, all different designs for edging. And so I don't know the yarn, but again, I put mohair in it because it was soft and fluffy. When you go to a yarn shop and you're a new knitter and you're looking at all the yarns and you're just intrigued by the colors, you're not actually kind of drawn towards some of the fancier yarns. But then you see this beautiful, precious, like a halo on an angel, fluffy yarn. Well, it's either cashmere or it's mohair and all that kind of stuff. And you have to buy it. So, anyways, so the edging on this, it's very interesting. It's if I had blocked this, it would actually, I think I'm going to sneeze. Maybe not. Come out better. But it's going to be so hard to show you this because I don't even know. So the edging, let me hold it this way and cover my face. It has, it's so hard to tell. There's like these little fans. Basically, there's little fans at the edge here. And you can't totally tell, but you can see through it a little bit. Then there is this cable design that runs throughout the whole entire scarf. And of course, it rolls up on itself. So these are very easy cables, but at the time they were my first cables. And the yarn doesn't do a good job. It's a variegated yarn. Does not do a good job of showing off the stitches, right? Didn't know. So, second scarf that year. I remember knitting this on the plane going to Chicago in February. That was not fun. It was very cold. Californians don't know what to do with themselves. I think then, that was year 3. I don't know if I even knit year 4 or 5. But last year, no, 2 years ago, I took a Craftsy class on knitting, and I just wanted to learn honeycomb stitch. Now, this was just a practice scarf. This is way too short to really be a scarf worthy of, look, you know, maybe for a little girl, but she doesn't want this. I just really wanted to learn the honeycomb stitch, and I think there were some other cool, there was some cabling and stitch. So this one this is a shepherd's wool, I believe. I bought this from a Yarn Less Raveled, which is a store I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But I did great on this. This was more of me just, I didn't block it. Blocking became something that I did within the last 10 months where I really took blocking seriously. But I don't think there's really any mistakes in this, which was shocking for me. And it had, well, no, I'm looking now. There's a couple mistakes. But it lies flat, even without blocking. And that was fun. So those are some early things. I also made a cowl, like a bulky cowl, 2 years ago that I still wear. Really like it. The Patterns on Ravelry, if I could just remember. But that's not worth showing because it's just the whole thing is the same stitch basically. And it was easy. Like I whipped that sucker up in a day because it was a chunky weight. And I've made some other socks. I think I've showed one and it's not finished. So that's my early knitting. I literally caught the bug last fall. Probably September, October last year. I think Susan B. Anderson and Volenvine Yarns or maybe Jink Yarns were the first 3 podcasts that I came across. And then I was just bitten, and I probably will never go back to what I used to do. I knit year round now. Granted, this is my first year knitting year round. In fact, quilting is taking kind of a back seat to it. Quilting is fun and I love fabric, but quilting you really have to set aside time to put into it, and it's not very mobile unless you're hand quilting, which takes forever. And I do it, but it's more of a process thing. But I tend to be more of a quantity type crafter, where I want to. This hence the fact that I started drop spindling and literally did it for like a month, and then I bought it. Then I was like, I'm buying a spinning wheel. Like it's not gonna take me this long to create yarn. Granted, Um, I think no, I took my time more on when it came to quilting. I started hand quilting before anything. I did that for quite a while before I bought a sewing machine. Maybe at that time because money. It was very, very restrictive. You have two like kids growing in the house that eat everything, and I was I working? We started quilting maybe a little bit part time, and so funds were more of an issue. And buying a sewing machine isn't cheap. So yeah. Anyways, I am babbling. It's already been 25 minutes, and I haven't even gotten to the like actual creative stuff. So moving along. Um, Finished objects. Before I show that, I just want to show that I have started putting my finished objects like a little journal. Let me close it for you. I bought this pack on Amazon. There's a bigger size and a smaller size, and I was using the bigger size when I went on my trip to Israel and Palestine as like a travel journal. And then I had this little small guy, and I thought, what could I do with the small guy? So now I'm kind of thinking maybe I should use the big guy, but for this, but I'm now putting in my finished objects, and it's not fancy. I don't journal, and I have like my friend Jilly on the Knitting Broomstick podcast. She's a huge like calendar and what's the word she uses? Agenda. I don't know if I'm not using the right. See, not made for it. Person, and it's like a washi tape, and she got all these. I have washi tape, but it looks really bad. And so, anyways, I just created this little journal. I put a little bit of the yarn. I put the label if it fits. Uh-oh, here comes Jack. Hey, Bubba. Here's another one. Yarn, and then I kind of write with my horrible writing how much I used, what it was called, who it was for, and yeah. So I'm trying to get organized. Okay. Nobody wants to see your tail, Bubba. At least not that close. So we'll see how long I do that for. But finished objects. I don't have it with me because I literally today gave it to the mom-to-be. I made the mermaid tail. Okay, so the pattern name was called Mermaid Cocoon Newborn Photo Prop by Angie Harley. And this is just a picture. It basically goes up to their armpits, and then you wear it down. You could wear it lower too. Gosh, that's annoying. I didn't use all two skeins. I literally just got into skein number 2. But she picked out the yarn. She wanted teal. And then I went to Joann's because she said, you know, she's just going to wear it for her newborn photos and maybe a little bit when she's, you know, little. Eventually doesn't fit her. So I decided not to go like super luxurious with the yarn because it's not going to grow with her. And so she went to Joann's, and also the pattern was specifically saying to use Caron Simply Soft Beautiful, right? Well, we ended up with Caron Simply Soft Party because with the Brigado family, they have nothing but fun. And so this one here is a sparkly teal. It looks coming up more blue, but it's got way more green in it than it's showing up. Yarn, and it looks really cute. It's a medium, I say medium, but it's a worsted weight basically. It's mostly acrylic, so which I normally don't knit with, but it looks super cute. So I'm going to throw up a photo. The first photo is just a close-up of me working on the design. And then this is a picture of me blocking it. I only blocked the fins because I didn't want to overblock. I didn't want to stretch out or mess up the body because if the baby's small, I didn't want it floating on her. So plus it didn't need it. It's just you want it to be kind of form-fitting. And then the last photo is a picture of my friend Naomi holding the little tail. She was very excited about it. I can't wait to see the baby in it, so it's gonna be excited. I threw this picture up on Instagram for those of you that follow me, have seen it before. So yay, finished object. And I told myself I was not casting on the shawl I'm going to talk about later until I finish that. So I finished that, and it was blocking. I finished it Thursday night. Nope, Friday morning. I seamed the tail onto the body, and then I just blocked it all day yesterday. And I cast it on a new shawl, which I'll talk about later. Works in progress. Rose City Rollers. Now I haven't, probably not a lot of progress on this, but I don't have my sock blocker, but this was the finished first. This is my hoe, my half object of my first shorty socks in Spun Right Round, which is going to be the theme for these two socks. I really like Spun Right Round yarn, by the way. Really fun to knit with, and I love the way it wears. This is the superwash sock, 80-20, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards, and the color is called Blender. And as I had said in the past, for you new viewers, I really like these colors. Remind me of bathing suits I used to wear in the summer when I was a kid, like especially during the time, like the 90s, like the early 90s, like everything was fluorescent. So this is where I'm at with sock number 2, not very far. I'm knitting these on my 9-inch circulars, ChowGoose 2.5s, I believe. 2.5 millimeter, US 1.5, and there's people moving about in my house. It's my husband. And this is just a vanilla sock. I mean, it's literally this, other than the rolled over cuff, the whole thing, the rest of it is my vanilla sock recipe. And it matched the recipe of the Rose City Roller, so we have a lot in common, and that is in my fun, colorful bag that I made. It seems to match it quite well. I know, Bubba. Okay, why don't you come up here? Just don't step on the keyboard again and pause the recording. Say hi. Will you say hi? Will you say hi? Say hi, Jack. It's been a while since you've been on the podcast. He's been sleeping. Say hi, Boo-boosh. 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 Okay. Anyways, I'm weird. Second work in progress. My second socks. I always try to have 2 pairs of socks on the needles at all times. This is my hoe. Again, my my finished half object. I have first contrasting heel and toe. Decided not to do the cuff. Oh. Lay down, boo-boo. Lay down. Lay down. Good boy. Okay. Somebody wants attention. Oh, what a mess. Got a little bit of a tangle thing going on here because I'm on the heel flap. So 9-inch circulars again. Now, didn't realize that this was not as common. What am I doing with this? So I don't knit the whole sock in my 9-inch circular. I actually knit, these are all, most of my socks, unless it's a pattern sock. My vanilla sock is cuffed down. I knit the cuff. Once I get to the heel flap, which I do a slip stitch heel, as we'll see here, I leave the front part of the stitches of the sock on my 9-inch circular needle, and I use double pointed needles to do the slip stitch heel. Okay, and then I even turn the heel with double pointed needles. In fact, I will eventually remove this, and I don't put my 9-inch circular back on until I have decreased back to the circumference of the sock that I want for the foot. And in most cases, I keep the same circumference for the leg and the foot. But my socks are short and I have skinny ankles, chicken ankles. So if I was to do a long, if I wanted it to really go up the leg, then I'd probably increase some stitches and that kind of stuff. But sorry, cat hair in the lip gloss. And then, so basically once I get to the part, decrease to the point where I want the rest of the foot, I get back on my 9-inch circular, whips up so fast. I knit really fast on the 9-inch circulars, way faster than if I was to stay with my DPNs. And then once I get down to the decreasing for the toe, guess what I do? I get back on my DPNs. Obviously, you're gonna have to. I think that everybody gets to that point because you can only go so little stitches on your 9-inch before you can't move anything anymore. But I'm totally fine with doing that, and I don't find that it slows me down to switch to the DPNs and then back onto the 9-inch circular because you just act like a needle. And okay. So anyways, as you can see, this is where I'm at with sock number 2. And I haven't touched these in about a week or so because I've been mermaid mode. This is also another spun right round yarn. I know, I told you there was a theme. Same blend or same base, and the color is called Banshee. And here is the yarn. I really like this yarn. My favorite color is purple. So I know it's seen better days. It got kind of messed up in the, but you will focus. Aha. Really cool. These are my, like people ask, what's your potato chippy knit? Or what's the knit that you can do without looking or not? No brainer, socks. And I know my vanilla sock recipe by heart now, so just it's really convenient. I feel comfortable doing that pretty much anywhere. And it's always small projects, so it's pretty portable. Okay, so the other thing that I'm knitting on, and I just cast on yesterday, is a new shawl. And this is thanks to Danny from Little Bobbins and Molly from A Homespun House. They both have podcasts, and I think they're like BFFs. But they both started knitting together this shawl, and it's called Party on My Needles, and it's by Joji Locatelli, or Locatelli, Joji Locatelli. First of all, I just love that name. Joji is a beautiful name, and if she's the chick that I see on everything, which I went to her website, I was like, she's beautiful. Oh, look, there's Foxy. She is my feral kitty. Oh. She is very shy, and so many people don't see her, including people who try to house it. They never see her. She hides the whole time. But anyways, that's Foxy Lady. And yes, so Party on My Needles. I'm going to throw a picture of the shawl up. It's gorgeous. And I believe that's Joji on the picture. Could be wrong. Just let me know if I totally janked that up. You can find this pattern on Ravelry. It's a paid-for pattern. And man, I was so excited to do that. And I was like, what yarn am I going to use? I looked at my stash and I told myself, okay, well, there's 3 colors, right? You can have 3 colors. Well, I just was like, I just want to use this yarn. This yarn has been something that I wanted to use for a while. And so I said, okay, whatever, for sure, this is going to be part of the shawl. And because with the shawl, I'm going to knit the large size, it needs 2 skeins of the main color, 1 skein for the accent color that's in the wavy lines, and then you can have a 3rd color for the border, which is very small, but you want the color to kind of pop. So I thought maybe this could be the border color because it's a bright color, and this is the yarn is by Wool and Vine Yarns. Sorry for the creases, it was in the middle of the cake. And this is the Narwhal base, and the color is Prickly Pear. It's her 7-20-10 blend, which is 70% superwash blue face Leicester, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere, and there's 438 yards. It's a 3-ply fingering. And here it is. Ugh, it's so yummy. Love this pink. And it's just got lots of colors, lots of pinks, and then like reddy orangey pinks and peachy pinks and bright candy pink. I don't know what it is, but it's just beautiful. And it's very soft. And there's quite a bit of yardage. So I thought, too bad I didn't have 2 of these. I could have done the whole main body in this color. But anyway, so this I thought was going to be accent color. But then I went to my closest yarn shop, which I really like. And normally I have no problem finding yarn there, which is Knit This Purl That. And it's in Pleasanton, California. But unfortunately, their fingering was so limited at this time. I think it just was completely bought out, or shipments haven't come in, or I don't know. So I was a little disappointed because I literally found nothing. I was actually shopping for 2 shawls because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to do which one I was going to do first. But so I needed some fingering yarn, right? And I didn't want to use the same color for everything. So then instead I got back in my car. I had a good chat with some of the ladies that work there, and I love them, or teach there. But then I got back in my car and I drove to Santa Ramon, which is about from where I live, it takes me like 25 minutes to get there max. On a weekday, that's another story with traffic. But so 25-minute drive, and I went to a Yarnless Raveled. And actually, I'm going to take this moment to kind of show off this shop because this is probably my favorite local shop. They have such a huge variety of yarns. They also have some good classes. I've never attended, but I always look at what's going on. There's going to be a trunk show that I'm going to go to in September, Lord willing. I've never used that yarn too, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I'll probably mention that in my next podcast. It'll be closer to the date of the event. But anyways, I wanted to throw up a little clip of the shop. Just a little segment here. They also carry headshot fibers now. They carry like such tons of Madeline Tosh, Malabrigo, and Zula yarns. Lots. I mean, there's tons of yarn there. I really feel like I could go crazy in that shop. I never have a problem finding anything for a project there. I just have to make the little bit of a jump. And here's my little spoiler. And I might have mentioned this before, but so where I work for a church, and we have 4 campuses right now. And I with my role, I mostly support and lead into all campuses. I'm like a central services operational type role. And so I go to visit these these campuses all the time. Well, there happens to be a campus in Walnut Creek, and actually soon to be one early next year in Santa Ramon. Well, a Yarnless Raveled is in Santa Ramon. So if I go there and work for the day, on my way home, I will often stop at the store. So it's kind of like an extra treat. Like, I'm already excited to see the staff at that campus and spend the day there. And then on bonus, before I endure any traffic, I go and hit the yarn shop. And that's kind of like an extra bonus. But anyways, I digress. So what was I going to use with this? Party on Me needles. Well, I just fell in love. I started, I've never knit with Nzula yarns yet, but I do own a skein of their fingering. I think it's called Nebula is the base, sort of the N, and it's a silver Stellina yarn. And I had bought it, and I haven't used it yet, but it's gorgeous. But I started feeling up. I wanted to get a yarn that either had silk or cashmere in it as well. I wanted the shawl to feel very comfortable and luxurious. So I started like totally filling up all the fingering yarn. My intention was originally I was looking for the Madeline Tosh. It's like Merino Light, Tosh Merino Light, but it has cashmere in it. Apparently, it's one you can only buy online. It isn't the ones that are sold in the stores. So that allows Madeline Tosh to still sell things on their website and get, you know. But then I touched this one, and this is the Inzula hand-dyed yarn. Squishy. God, love squishy. The color is called Elevant. This is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. Yes. How many yards? 385. So it's a little less yardage, but okay, so there's the label. And this is, it's a really pretty gray. Well, that's a pretty perfect version of it, I think. Maybe a little darker than that. But it is so soft. Here it is, caked up. I bought 2 skeins of this sucker because this is my main body. And obviously, I'm showing some stash advancement right now. So I bought 2 skeins of this guy. And then I also bought, I thought, you know what, with these two together, I think I want the zigzag lines. I want this main contrasting color to be this. So I needed my little accent for the border. And then I saw this, and this is the same base. This is the Squishy Inzula in the avocado colorway. And so here you go. Well, Bubba, you coming up? Okay. Now you're getting all up in my business. He likes yarn, so he's been laying on these actually. It's part of one of the problems with why they look the way they do right now. Okay, you could sit there. Yeah, Inzula Squishy. So I am just loving knitting with this, and I'll go into that right about now. I started just knit on, I just cast on yesterday. This is a very easy starting. I mean, so far this thing is cake. It's just all garter ridge. But this is the Elefante colorway of Squishy. It feels amazing. Like this morning I found myself looking on the Inzula website for all their colorways and thinking I'm going to knit a sweater out of this. I've never knit, like completed sweater for me. But yet I'm shopping for a full sweater's worth of, no. Stop myself because it's not cheap, right? I think online, most places at $35 a skein. So, because of the cashmere. Probably. And because it's so squishy and amazing. This is going to be a crescent shape, so it kind of looks funny on the... But it's just so easy to knit with. I'm using my Knitter's Pride Dreams Interchangeable US 4. I love my Knitter's Pride Dreams. Yeah. I just love this. It's a tonal. It's beautiful. I think it's gonna be fun. And I've already gotten that far. Just put this on yesterday. I don't know. That might or might not be a lot of knitting for you, but I didn't knit all day, but I knit a decent amount. I was very excited about that shawl. So, yes, I started a party on my needles by Joji Locatelli, or Locatelli. You can let me know as well if you think that I'm saying that wrong. I think Joji is right, though, which is my favorite part. Okay, Jack, we're not playing right now. He's using his feet to push against my stuff and my hands. Feed off the yarn, buddy. Feed off the yarn. So, upcoming on the needles, I kind of want to finish a pair of socks before I cast anything else on. I like to keep my projects at 3. Oh wait. I still haven't finished the border on my Merlot shawl. It's an applied edge border. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to knit on it. It's just I need to have no interruptions because I can't memorize the stitch pattern. But that is something that it's on my, when I have the opportunity, I knit on. But I'm not going to show it today because there's not a lot of actual progress. Okay, quilting. Whoops. Oh, Sorry for the noise. That's awesome. Jack hit his paw, and he opened some random menu that I can't close right now. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Thank you, Jack. Thank you so much for being so fun and exciting. So fun and exciting. So fun. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You liked it. He just smiled at me. It's really cute. So quilting. I delivered the baby quilt last week. It was great. At one point, I will have a picture of the baby on the quilt. It's a requirement when I give a quilt. I need a picture of the baby on the quilt so I can remember how cute the baby was and the quilt because I give them away. So I don't have that yet. And then lots of baby gifting stuff. I'm struggling with finding fabric from my friend Kim Rogers quilt for her soon-to-be little boy that she's adopting. I think he's born mid to late September, so I'm a little behind schedule here. But it's important to me to find the fabric that I think is the best fit. I went to my local quilt shop. I looked online. Not quite finding what I want, so I'm really just going to stash dive on this. I have plenty of fabric in that coloring, but it's a boy, so I have to be very picky about the designs I pick. Like, not a lot of florals. And I don't know if I'm going to meet exactly the teals. There's a lot of teals and grays on this one. If I'm going to meet the coloring exactly. But, so, I need to set aside a day where I can pull aside all of my teals and grays and whites and, figure it out. So, and I kind of have an idea on a couple patterns. They're very basic. Boy quilts, they're not looking for sweet applique and floral prints and, floral designs or anything too girly. So quilting, lately, the last couple weeks, none, but will be soon. Spinning. Oh, and I didn't pull it off. I have been spinning. I'm still working on my spun right round roving that I have, it's roving. But fortunately, it's not to be, I'm unable to grab it right now because it's on the wheel. But the idea is that I'm going to do 2 bobbins worth and then I'm going to ply them together. I have not plied at all yet. I'm a newbie spinner, so I'm hoping that I can ply them and actually make something out of this yarn. That would be a huge accomplishment for me. I find myself wanting to start new spinning projects, but I need to finish what I started. Stash advancement time. I love new stuff. One thing I did purchase, because when I'm working with this guy, you start out with, use US 8 circular needles. I used DPNs to do the fins. I don't know what she's doing back there, but she looks cute. She's hiding from Jack, probably. It's adult beverage time. Saturday afternoon. And then at one point, you need to, when you do the main body of the mermaid tail body part, you need 16-inch long US 8 double-pointed needles. Well, and I think that Nicole from Hue Loco was just mentioning this in a podcast where she's needed to have a 16-inch length double-pointed needle, and she had the standard set, which I have, but it's not the Dreams. Grab it real quick. And it also has lots of other things in it right now. But the standard set, this is the standard size for most needles. And then when you put the smallest cord, which is used for the 16-inch, it actually is longer than 16 inches. And the other thing is that the shank on these needles is a little too long, and so it's very awkward. The cord ends up bending dramatically, and you're just like, this doesn't feel right. Well, There's a reason. Because in order for you to have a successful 16-inch needle, it needs to be 16 inches, right? The other thing is that the curve has to flow gently so it's not awkward to knit with. They specifically make, all the companies pretty much make, that I'm, not maybe not all, but most of the ones I've looked at before, have a special size needle, which is a shorter shanked needle, and you can use your 16-inch cord. So I bought this special size set. It was actually not very expensive. I did buy it on Amazon because I wanted it quickly. Right now it's missing, is it missing the 8s? No, actually I bought another pair of them because I have a project coming up that might need to. So this is the set. I really love it. They're all the same, but you see the difference in the size? And you could just tell by me looking at it. It's a little bit smaller. So, wow, this knit up great. Here it is. So when you're knitting, you don't have this, because before it felt like they were being pulled like this. But this, when you're knitting, it's pretty gentle. They're right there. So if you've wanted to knit with your interchangeable sets before, and you were told you needed a 16-inch double circular needle set in whatever size, and you found it very awkward, or you felt like you couldn't, it's because you need the special. If you can handle it, go ahead and knit. But I just didn't like it at all. It just felt stupid to me, and so I bought the special set, and I feel really good about it. And now I don't have to worry about that awkwardness anymore. So that was something new I got. And then I got my Sweet Georgia Yarn Fiber Club August one. I got this literally the first week of August, so I'm assuming it's been 20 days since then. I'm assuming everybody that is part of this club has got it, but if you haven't, it's the look away time. I'm not going to be showing the one I got in the mail today. That's from, where's it from? Sunrise Fiber Co. Not going to show that. I literally got it today, so I'm assuming most people haven't got it yet. That'll show up in my next podcast. But this one, don't look. I love it. She always brings this card, gives you this card, talks about the story and why she chose the colorway she did, talks about the fiber, and then she gives you ideas on how she would spin it. But this is the fiber. Isn't that really bright and fun? This, love that color. That could be one of my favorite colors right there. I think it's beautiful. And it's a superwash BFL, 100% superwash Blueface Leicester. So it should knit up like super fast in a dream. BFL is a good beginner fiber, supposedly, I've been told. And actually, I haven't had a lot of issues with it. So looking forward to that. That was fun. Then I tried out a new indie dyer. I don't know, I came across this on Etsy. I was looking for, I don't know what I was looking for. I just came across it, and I just thought, I'm going to give them a try. What's cool is, they're from, this is called Knit Cosmic Strings, and they're located in Edinburgh, Scotland. And which I thought was really cool, because I don't think I have any yarn specifically, or at least from an indie dyer, that is from Scotland. So I was excited. So this is the first one I got. This is their little label, and this color is called Nugget. I bought both of theirs. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for single ply yarn because everybody's been saying it's a dream to knit with. Excuse me. It's 100% superwash merino. It's a 4-ply. They're both the same base. This is the Nugget colorway, which is it's getting washed out a little bit, but it literally looks like mustard, or like they called it Nugget, like gold. It's a little bit more yellowy green than it's coming up, but it's a cool color. And I think it would look good with brown and my skin tone. The other one, colorway is called Sunset, and I just saw that and I just thought it was beautiful. Isn't that pretty? That's coming up pretty true to color. And so I just thought I'd try them out. Cool part is, and I'm not too sure if I will pair these two together. Maybe, maybe not. I'm leaning and I'm leaning away. But this is yarn I got from a Homespun House. This is part of her Jane Austen sock yarn club. And this was on her Jeunesse fingering, and the colorway is called If I Loved You Less, I Might Be Able to Talk More About It. And it's 100% superwash ply merino, and this one's 100, the same, pretty much the same base, and they're both singles. And so I thought maybe these two would go together, because you can, if you can see, and it could be the way that it's, see that color? They kind of go. I mean, from a glance, you're like, oh yeah, I see that. Ugh, maybe not with the way that I'm doing this. So I don't know. Obviously wouldn't make this a main, this would be the main part, and then I would intersperse this color. Still haven't been sold on it. Just thinking. So, new yarn. I'm looking forward to review that stuff. I'm going to throw a, I already did throw it up probably, about their site. And then, so while I was shopping for the Party on My Needles shawl yarn, I also was looking, I want to knit the Amulet shawl, which is part of the Shawl Society kind of like club on Ravelry, which you pay for, and then you get multiple shawl patterns. And I don't know the consistency of them, because when I joined it, which was literally last week, I think, or the week before, there were already 3 shawl patterns out in that segment. And so the third one was called the Amulet shawl, and that's the one I was like, I want to start with that one from the Shawl Society. Again, Little Bobbins Knits, Danny, she had knit this, and I saw it there on her podcast. She just ruined me on that podcast. If you haven't watched her podcast, do it. She's wonderful. She's lovely. She really is. And I love it when her mom's on there, because she's a quilter and knits too, so very cool. But yeah, Danny showed both of these finished objects, and I was just like, I want both of those. So I thought maybe for the Amulet shawl, I'm going to use something out of my stash, and then I purchased one to go with it. So I'm popping up a picture of the Amulet shawl, but for the body, I think I'm going to use, you just need 2 skeins of fingering. 2 skeins of fingering for the whole, for the size I'm going to do, which I believe is medium, I don't remember. But this is Homespun House Bakken fingering. And again, this is also from the Jane Austens. I just loved all 3 installments of that Jane Austen Sock Yarn Club. This color is called But Indeed, I Would Rather Have Nothing But Tea. And it's a 75% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 5% nylon. 437 yards. And it came with this cute little teacup stitch marker, which is upside down. Little teacup. But this color is very unique and pretty. It's got these great greens in it, like pine green, eggplant, purple, grays and whites. I would say off-whites, gray whites. So like that. But then I wanted to do the lace portion of the shawl in a solid or a tonal. And I just had to get a color, like if I look at this, I think purple is the color that stands out the most, but I didn't feel comfortable doing that green in the lace. Green isn't necessarily my favorite color, but the way that it's in here is wonderful. So I ended up buying, this really looks gray and it's purple, but you can maybe see the dark parts of purple. That's the part it pops out. It's not the lighter purple. This is Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the, what's the color? Penumbra colorway. It's like an eggplant purple. This is gray, this is purple. The shirt I'm wearing is actually, it's a purple gray. So that's kind of the concept. We'll see. And that's it for Stash and Vans. One thing that I thought was cool, and I could be late to the party on this. Probably a good chance there is. I am. But I saw these Molly Suds, safe for people, safe in the planet, wool dryer balls. And I just saw the first thing I saw was the sheath. And they're these big balls of wool. And use them instead of using dryer sheets or any kind of detergent that has, because there's so many chemicals in dryer sheets, it's unbelievable. And even like the natural ones don't ever tend to do the job that I need them to. So you toss all three of these babies in your dryer. I add, I put some, you can it says on here you can use essential oils too, but I add like 5 drops of my favorite essential oils on the balls, throw them in there, and then your clothes smell great, and they're anti-static, and it's wool. I don't know. I think it's cool. So I'm trying them out. I've done a few loads. I'm loving it. You can kind of hear the balls rolling around, but they're wool, so they're heavy. They're pretty decent weight. I mean, they're like this big each. But it's not annoying. It's not like when you have zippers hitting your dryer and you're like, oh, that's annoying. You just hear these random like things every once in a while, boop, 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 you know. So, anyways, that's it. I have babbled today. I have talked a lot. I have. So I need to buy a new computer. I need to pull the trigger. My allergies are bugging me a little bit today. I would say that it's not going to be cheap for the computer that I want. But if I order it, it'll take me a while to kind of set it up. I'll probably have it set up over here, get it all done, and then transfer everything over. I come from an IT background, sorta. So I feel comfortable doing all that work for myself. I spec'd it out, and then I had my friend at work kind of go, okay, what would you get if you were me, and here's what I want, here's what my requirements are, and so we kind of were very similar in what I wanted, but it's not going to be cheap. But I'm looking forward to having a computer that is not going to struggle with the processors having a hard time with me doing the video in HD. And the other thing I did, I know it's probably time to be fed, and I thought maybe Daddy might do that. Daddy's not around to hear me. We'll feed you in a minute, okay, Bubba? That's why she's in here. She's like, where's the food? I bought a tripod for my iPhone. I just got it in the mail yesterday. I know, Boo-Boo. And yeah, so my goal is, people have been saying, I want to see you knit, or I want to see you quilt, or I want to, so now I can have the tripod and I can angle it down, and I can actually show some of the work I'm doing. So I'm hoping to have segments where I kind of show what I'm doing, or even that. Like, you guys are probably really bored of this background. Maybe, if it's not like it's hot today, it's actually cool today, but it's hot today. It's like cooler than it has been, but it's muggy. It's like 90 degrees. It feels like it's 90, like 4 degrees, but I think it's only like 88 degrees. You know how that works. It feels like. And it's just really muggy. So when the weather starts to get a little bit better, I can maybe videotape out my backyard, or just videotape somewhere else in my house if I want to. Videotape. Is that really what you say? Record. And I also got a little lapel mic that would probably help with that, because I figured I don't trust the sound on my phone, especially if I'm outdoors. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And then I also installed, which is probably not the best decision on my computer, I've been using Windows 10 Movie Maker for my video editing for my podcast. And I've been just like, I've worn that thing out, and there's no other things for me to do. It's boring. So I just downloaded a software that I'm in trial to try, and I'm really excited. So this podcast should have new and exciting things. The other thing I'm wanting to do is actually get an actual graphic designer to design my logo, because mine was just thrown together. I don't really have a logo. So I'm just trying to liven up my podcast a little bit more and add some more dynamics. So many of you guys that are podcasters out there do a great job, and yeah, I just feel like mine is like been like coasting. That's not the right direction. It's like coasting, and I'd kind of like to kick it up a notch a little bit. So, anyways, if this was your first time, thanks for actually sticking around and listening to my podcast and me ramble. I apologize for saying all the time. I might even do like some, it might be funny, like if I count how many times I say it, and if you get it right, you get thrown into a giveaway or something like that. I mean, right? Got to make something fun out of it. And for my returning viewers and friends, I just appreciate you guys following along. I hope I inspired you to do something crafty in the future. And till we meet again, I have to go feed the kitties. I just got the from my cat. So it's time to go. Take care, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great day.